Assalamu alaikum and welcome to this presentation by the last crescent on the sunrise from the west. The Prophet ﷺ has said that the sunrise from the west is one of the 10 major signs of the end times. In this Sunan Abi Dawud hadith, it reads, "The last hour will not come or happen until there appear 10 signs before it. The rising of the sun in its place of setting, so the rising of the sun from the west, the coming forth of the beast, the coming forth of Ya'juj Ma'juj, Dajjal, the return of Isa alayhi salam, the smoke and 3 collapses of the earth, one in the west, one in the east, and one in the Arabian Peninsula. The last of the 10 major signs will be the emergence of a fire from Yemen, from the lowest part of Aden, which will drive mankind to their place of assembly." So the sunrise from the west is one of those really big 10 major signs of the end times. However, out of the 10 signs that were mentioned, this particular sign, the sunrise from the west, is a sign that has caused a lot of debate amongst the Muslims. There are different competing theories and interpretations about this sign, whether it is a literal sunrise, whether it is a symbolic sunrise, how will the sign appear, what will be the cause of the sunrise from the west. And so there's considerable discussion, debate, and varying interpretations about the nature of the sunrise from the west. The theories about the sunrise from the west are really varied. There are some theories which talk about geothermal activity within the Earth's core. Other theories relate to the magnetic field of the Earth, how it emerges from the poles and maybe it will reverse someday. Some theories relate to asteroid activity and how asteroids might impact the Earth or come close to the Earth, and that might result in the sun rising from the west. And other theories talk about there being some kind of a celestial coincidence or a celestial event that happens in our solar system, such as the emergence of a black hole, which would cause the sun to rise from the west. But all in all, this is a sign which many people have different interpretations about, and there's not an agreement about what the correct interpretation is. One of the most popular theories about the sunrise from the west and its cause is Earth core reversal. If you look up this on YouTube, just type in the sunrise from the west on YouTube, you will come across a number of very popular videos that are talking about Earth core reversal and how it will lead to the sun rising from the west. So here in this video it says, stopped, is the sun rising from the west happening? This video says Earth will rotate backwards with big red arrows. This one is interesting. It has a snapshot from CNN. It says, "Scientist proves Quran is truth, says sun will rise from the west," and there's an arrow to the Earth's core. And this is a snapshot from, says CNN, "We might see sunrise from the west. The end of time is near," as a picture of the Earth's layers. The Earth's core has an arrow next to it. And this is a picture of a scientist, Michio Kaku. So what are all of these videos talking about? Well, as you know, the Earth is made up of different layers. It has the crust, that's where we live. The land and the seas, the oceans, are sitting on top of the crust. And underneath the crust is a layer of molten rock called the mantle. That's where lava comes from. And then you have the outer core, which is a spinning liquid layer of molten metal. And then you have the very inner core, which is actually solid because of all of the pressure. It's very hot, and it also spins. So the Earth is made up of these different layers. And the idea is that something is happening in the core of the Earth, which will cause the Earth to spin backwards, which will result in the sun rising from the west instead of rising from the east. So when you look up this theory, it actually is covered in a lot of mainstream media articles. So when I was researching this, I came across this Euronews article. It says, "Making heads spin. Scientists say Earth's inner core has changed its rotation." A study analyzing seismic wave data over the past 60 years by researchers at Peking University in China has concluded that the Earth's core's rotation has stopped around the year 2009 and then restarted in the opposite direction. Controversial findings. And it's not just Euronews, this is covered everywhere, so I found this on Sky News. Earth's inner core may have stopped spinning. The scientists from Peking University in China believe So inner core rotation has recently paused, okay? This is on MSN. Earth's inner core may right now be in the process of changing direction. This is the Smithsonian Magazine. The spin of Earth's inner core may be changing, scientists say. Earth's inner core, a shifting, spinning mystery's latest twist, New York Times. Earth's renegade inner core may have paused and reversed, scientists say. And this is a video on the website. It's part of the article. This is a snapshot from the video that says, however, now the core has slowed down and is starting to rotate in the opposite direction. And the idea is that if this part of the Earth has stopped spinning and it's spinning in the opposite direction, it will cause friction to occur in this layer, which will slow down this layer, and then this layer will spin in the opposite direction. And then both of these layers will act on the mantle and slow it down and cause it to spin in the opposite direction. And then eventually the whole Earth will just spin in the opposite direction. And this was such a big deal, such a major news story that CNN did a news piece on this.
Well, this morning we are learning about a shift in the Earth's inner core that sounds like the plot of a Hollywood blockbuster. Scientists say our planet's solid core, which is actually disconnected from the rest of the Earth's layers, may actually have stopped rotating and could even reverse course. This is a new study. It was published Monday in the journal Nature Geoscience, and its authors, who are based in Beijing, took a very close look at the seismic waves from earthquakes that have passed through our planet's core since the 1960s, and that is how they were able to calculate the speed at which the inner core is spinning. Are you confused? I am. We're going to get to understand this a little bit better with our guest. Let's bring in Michio Kaku, who's a professor of theoretical physics at the City University of New York. Professor, good morning. Thank you.
Morning. Glad to be on.
What does this mean?
Well, at first it sounds like something from a Hollywood movie.
Right.
The script says, oh my God, the core of the Earth is spinning backwards. I mean, this is worse than having a tsunami or an earthquake. The stability of what you walk on is at stake. Now, this report comes not from Hollywood. It comes from reputable scientists at Beijing University.
So it seems like this is going to be the cause of the sun rising in the west. They've analyzed seismic wave data. They've said that the Earth's core has stopped spinning. It could be spinning in the opposite direction, and that will be the cause of the sunrise from the west. But let's just double check this to be sure. So I actually went and I found the article that was referenced in the CNN video. It was published in the Nature journal. It's a very famous scientific journal. It's called Multi-Decadal Variation of the Earth's Inner Core Rotation by Yi Yang and Xiaodong Song. And when I saw this paper, immediately two things jumped off the page to me. The first was that the article has been updated. An author correction to this article was published on 31st January. The original article was published on 23rd January, so very quickly, very soon after it was originally published, they had to do a correction. So, okay, question marks there. What is the correction? The second thing that jumped off the page to me was that this article, which is about a groundbreaking, literally earth-shattering revelation and scientific breakthrough, that the Earth's core has stopped spinning and is moving in the opposite direction, only has 14 citations. So a citation is when you have published a piece of research and a different scientist or a different researcher references your work. So they build upon your work, or they talk about your work in their paper. Every time that happens, you get one more citation. And for such a huge discovery, I was really surprised to see that this paper only has 14 citations. To give you an example, this is a professor at the University of Oxford called Andrew Zizerman, and I've highlighted 3 of his papers. He works in the field of artificial intelligence. Now, this paper here has over 8,000 citations. This one has over 34,000 citations. This one has over 117,000 citations. And fine, this is in a slightly different field. This is AI, but it's not as big of an impact as the Earth's core stopping its rotation and moving in the opposite direction. I mean, in academia, if you have done a good piece of scientific research, you should have at least 100 citations for your paper. If you've done a great or an amazing piece of research, then your paper should have 1,000 citations or more. And if you've done an incredible piece of research, like really, really groundbreaking piece of research, then your paper should have at least 10,000 citations. And if you have made a once-in-a-lifetime scientific discovery, then your paper should have at least 100,000 citations. The fact that this paper only has 14 citations is very, very suspect. This paper should have 1,000,000 citations, given how important this breakthrough is. So when you look at the correction, you realize why this paper only has 14 citations, because the text in the paper originally read something along the lines of, "This globally consistent pattern suggests that inner core rotation has recently paused. ... We are seeing a pause of rotation with a gradual turning back of the inner core." So if you read a sentence that has these three quotes, I've put the dots to connect them into a sentence, it reads as if the Earth has stopped spinning inside. The core has stopped spinning, it's going in the opposite direction. What is the correction that they did? Well, they said that they've had to add the word differential as clarifying text. That differential inner core rotation has paused. They had to add the clarifying text relative to the mantle. So a gradual turning back of the inner core relative to the mantle is happening. The phrase "a pause in differential rotation" replaces "a pause of rotation." So what this article is talking about is not that the Earth's core has stopped rotating and is going in the opposite direction. No. What this article is saying is that the Earth's core has slowed down relative to the next layer of the Earth's core. They're both spinning really, really fast. They're both spinning almost at the same speed as they've always been spinning at. It's just that the Earth's core is now spinning at a slightly different speed. And a good analogy is if you imagine these are two cars going on a road. Let's say one car is going at 65 miles per hour and the other car goes from 65 to 70 miles per hour, like this one, the blue one. That's kind of what's happened. It's not that the yellow car has slammed on the brakes, gone into reverse gear, and is going in the opposite direction. It's that the relative speed, the differential between the layers has changed. And the other thing we know is that this change in speed happens every 70 years as part of a cycle. It's not actually a big deal. Every 70 years, this change in speed occurs between the Earth's core and the other layers. So this is not going to be the reason why the Earth will stop spinning, because the Earth hasn't stopped spinning. It's just that the layers naturally, as part of the rhythm over every 70 years, slow down and speed up relative to each other. So this cannot be the sunrise from the west.